I'm Charlie Zisette, the Executive Director of the National Armaments Consortium, and I'm pleased to bring you a very special collaboration conversation. Today, I'm joined by my colleague, my friend, and my brother, George Solhan, Director of Customer Affairs for the National Armaments Consortium. Welcome, George, and thanks for joining us.
Hi, Charlie. It's good to see you. And, it's only 2 hours away from happy hour. It's Friday, so let's get this thing going. Listen, I've been really looking forward to doing this because we've threatened to do a Hans and Franz. Now's our chance in front of a worldwide audience. And those of you who don't know what it is, we are here to pump you up. Look at Saturday Night Live 20 years ago, and you'll know what it is. But we are definitely in a great place to work together, and it's exciting.
I really enjoy working with you. Well, most, our members know you, but for those who don't, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your journey and what brought you to the National Armaments Consortium.
So I graduated with a 2.0. That's hard to hit right on the mark. As an engineer, after having played football and etc. while I got that degree, and decided to go in the Marine Corps. Best decision I ever made. Got to see the world, learned a lot of things. Some of them you wouldn't want to learn again, but it was always exciting. And then after almost 24 years of that, the last couple of which I spent doing R&D and finally using my engineering degree and having taught physics at the academy for a couple of years, that was productive. I went to work for Battelle Memorial Institute, great company, and I learned how totally difficult it is to do business with the U.S. government. That was an eye-opener. And so then when a colleague said, hey, why don't you come and work for the government as a civil servant? I said, a sniveling servant. I'll be glad to do that for a couple of years. And I stayed for 24 years because you can fix the difficulties that we have in working with the government if you intend to. And along the way, I became the Director of Science and Technology for the Marine Corps, and I became Deputy Chief of Naval Research for Expeditionary Warfare and Combating Terrorism. And we developed a lot of good stuff, good technologies on the front end, broke a lot of paradigms, mentored a lot of new government servants, in service to the nation and in dealing collaboratively with our industrial base. And so it's was a great setup for the call that I got in the middle of nowhere in Texas at a buddy's ranch. I get a call from a former colleague that said that there's this consortium doing OTAs and you should throw your hat in the ring. They're looking for somebody and you'd be the right guy. And I said, what the hell's a consortium and what the hell's an OTA? And so I had to look one up, but there was no place to look up the OTA part because it hadn't been legislated yet. But I did, threw my hat in the ring at the same time that you did, Charlie. And they, in their infinite wisdom, hired both of us as a package deal. We are today, 5 years later. Every minute.
It's been worth every minute. So let's get to the Director of Customer Affairs, right? Very key role for this consortium. Clearly the architect of our communication strategy and really part of our outreach campaign. So tell us, how do you advocate on behalf of our members and our government customers alike?
I have to go no further than dust off our NAC value proposition.
Sure.
We developed it through a strategic planning process. We live it day to day. And that basically, in a nutshell, is develop and transition technology that's relevant rapidly to the warrior. So we can enable our nation's warriors to fight, survive, and win in battle with the latest and the greatest and the best technology available.
Yeah, amen.
Which is really capability. And we promote innovation. We, on the way to promoting innovation, we require collaboration. between the government and our members, and between the government and other parts of the government, and between our members, non-traditional smalls and traditional large OEMs at every level, so that we can really use the power of this very large expert network that we've created. And along the way, we subscribe to other values that I think are really key. This is teamwork through a network. We absolutely, we want to innovate. We want to do it flexibly. We want to do it with great agility. We absolutely need to be good stewards of our nation's resources, as well as our members' resources of money, time, talent, intellectual property, and so on. And we always want to act boldly, responsibly, and with vision. We need to take reasonable risk in order to really drive the innovation train. And we want to always do it in strict compliance with rules of ethics and with the law.
Thank you.
And so that's what basically I promote, or call it sell, if you will. How do we do it? We've got a very effective strategic communications plan, assisted by a strategic communications firm that helps us in every way. We do it face-to-face when environments permit. And lately, as you know, environments have been more difficult. We do it virtually when environments don't permit, and also to do it more efficiently. And the next significant thing is, how do we do it? I mean, who do we do it with? So we've got a panoply of stakeholders. Our principal stakeholders are our NAC members. They joined, and we are there to serve them and to enable them to do business. But to do that, we have to work with the government. And we love working with the government, because when you figure out who the people are that you need to advocate toward and collaborate with, it makes it a pleasure, because they're looking for the same things we are: support the nation and its warfighters. And so we have a panoply of stakeholders. First and foremost is the Department of Defense. But let me back up. First and foremost is really the Congress. They pass the laws, and they're great supporters of OTA, and we believe of consortia. So we have a way now of dealing directly with all the significant professional staff members and members of the defense subcommittees. And we do that. And we also keep our ear to the ground to see where the legislation is heading. And we also have the capability through our lobbying ability to influence that somewhat. Yeah. We also interact with OSD at the Undersecretary of Defense level, both for acquisition and sustainment, and for research and engineering in both of those broad arenas, and at the service headquarters, because they are the people with the real authority to spend money and to utilize OTAs. And so we interact with all the services and when they're service acquisition executives. And really, most importantly, where the rubber meets the road, program executive officers who run the big portfolios, PMs who run the programs and their project managers, and the R&D centers. They're the people with the requirements and the people with the money. And that's where the decisions are made. And along the way too, we interact with the procurement officials in order to make sure that the processes are as lean and as efficient as they can be.
I really appreciate that. That's, I think that's something our members really needed to hear. Well, 2020 has been a heck of a year. And maybe as you look back on it, what do you see as some of the major milestones for the NAC?
There have been many. I think I'll address just three because we don't have the time. We have an executive committee. It's like a board of directors or like a board of trustees. It's 9 going on 11 members. Our members are drawn from our membership, and they are there to represent their membership in terms of being non-traditional, traditional, large and small, academia, and also to represent them and their needs. And they are the entity for which you and I both work. We're the only two guys that are paid. Everybody else serves pro bono. They give us our strategic direction. We provide to them various options, strategic planning tools, our strategic plan, our communications process, and all those other tools. And they tell us what is important, what's less than top-notch important, and give us our direction. The governance is a key discriminator between us and some other folks that call themselves consortia and really, in fact, are not. So to that end, we've got a new chair, James Miller from Dynetics, which was a small, but now it was acquired by a large. So he kind of has a foot in both camps. He still supports small non-traditionals wholeheartedly. And he, by the way, is also the chairman of the Aviation and Missiles Technology Consortium, AMTC in Redstone, which is the other large armaments consortium managed by the Army. So it's a wonderful collaboration between our two consortia. And of course, all of our members have access to both. We've also elected 2 new members to the NAC consortium. There's Steve Dart from a large and Dave Robinson from a very successful small business that is growing by leaps and bounds. And he really knows how to do that and is able to educate other members on how to do that. And we also have a new member at AMTC in their executive committee, and that's Steve Cornelius, former SES, who ran the old AMR deck down at Redstone and is still there and is now engaged in AMTC. So we're actively governed by our boards of directors. We answer to them and we meet with them monthly, virtually, and quarterly, live and in color. Another big thing that has occurred is our interaction in and around a process reset, but also in and around daily business with the government. We interact, have this last year a lot with the DOTC office, 14 or 15 government civilians that basically manage that program. We've interacted a lot with Army Contract Command New Jersey, their senior contracting official and his entire staff, in terms of building a process and optimizing their process reset. We likewise do the same with the folks at Redstone, with AMTC and their senior contracting official. And those interactions have been more than interactions, have been collaborations.
Right.
They've solved some knotty problems. And in the process, we've developed a lot of trust between the government and our consortium and industry. And that's invaluable. So that's a real plus. And I'm telling you, it was heavy lifting, and it wasn't always pleasant, and we didn't get everything that we wanted, but neither did they. But it was very productive, and we all consider it a big win. And finally, the other big thing that we've done is we really updated our NAC only member collaboration database. And I'm telling you, folks, if you're a NAC member, and if you're not, you ought to become one, by the way. It's the cheapest competitive intel source you're ever going to have in the world. $500 a year. Come on. Open to everything that we have available to our big membership, and opens you up to all of the other members. So in this collaboration database, you get to tell the world within those firewalls who you are, what you do, what you think you might want to do, maybe even what you got going on in the back room that you're willing to kind of give them a little peek at, and what you need. So if you need to get capitalized more to do better work, you want to partner up with a big OEM. If you're willing to take a lot of risk and somebody has got a lot of gravitas and wants to bid on a program, but is risk averse, but the program requires you to push state of the art, you two need to know each other you need to do some speed dating, you can do it anonymously initially in our members only website. And then you can decide what you want to divulge to each other and formulate these partnerships. And I'm telling you, if you're not in there, and if you haven't written a lot of stuff about yourself to get that dialogue going, you're really missing the boat. And we've made it a lot easier for you to get in there. And later on, we'll give you a tip on how to do it really easily. It's a website, nacconsortium.org. Just go there. It's got a link, takes you right to the site.
Well, I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit. And what does the the schedule look like for 2021?
Well, we had an old schedule that was basically seasonal, and it was annual at one time for DOTC, then became semi-annual. And under the reset, we made it now monthly. So our cycle time is monthly. We had a backlog previously, and we took a tactical pause to eliminate that backlog. It took about 9 months off from taking in new requirements, and we've now eliminated the backlog, and DOTC is open for business. Monthly cycle time, first in, first out, with a lot of transparency in terms of knowing where your proposal really is. And oh, by the way, in the past, we had a lot of inefficiency in the program because a lot of RFPs, what we call RPPs, requirements were really more like RFIs. So we were awarding well under 50% of all proposals. We decided how to eliminate that now by requiring the government to show us the money. Show us if you're funded and when are you willing and ready to obligate that money before we consider your requirement. And again, monthly cycle time with collaboration events. So for DOTC, we're planning 3 collaboration events, and we're going to have the first one to be live. COVID has prevented that. So the first one in the March timeframe won't be, it'll be virtual. The second one likely in the June timeframe will be virtual, but we believe we'll be able to go live in the October timeframe. AMTC is still running on a 3 cycle per year basis, but they also are going to have 3 collaboration events. And so go on our website, there's linkages to both DOTC and AMTC right there. Find out when the collaboration events are, throw your hat in the ring. That's what we have to look forward to. DOTC's open for business. AMTC never got out of the business, and they remain open.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, George. I do appreciate talking with you. You're absolutely right. I would like to put in a plug to those who are watching. It's just nacconsortium.org. Go on our public website and click the link to get your login ID. That then puts you on our listserv, so you can get all of our communications. You can have access to their members only website, which is a secure website, and where you can network and collaborate. As always, George, I enjoy our conversations. I learn a lot, and I appreciate you being a mentor for me. Anyway, just want to say thanks, and that ends our collaboration conversation with Mr. George Solhan, or Big G, the Director of Customer Affairs at the National Agreements Consortium. And I just want to say once again, heartfelt thanks, George.
Charlie, you know what they used to say? Smoke him if you got him. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. See you later.